Welcome back to 9 News Mornings. The Supreme Court will consider whether Catholic preschools here in Colorado can get funding if they don't let families with LGBTQ+ parents enroll their kids. 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor joins us to talk more about this case. Now, if I have this right, the actual case itself, St. Mary Catholic Parish versus Roy. What was at the crux of this case?
Well, the crux of the case was that in 2020, voters here in Colorado passed the universal pre-K, so all 4-year-olds could get up to 15 hours of free preschool, and schools that wanted to participate had to apply. Well, the state imposed a regulation that said you can't discriminate. So among other things, you can't discriminate based on sexual orientation if you're receiving these taxpayer funds. Well, there were these 2 Catholic preschools that had wanted a religious exemption because they said, we don't allow parents with LGBTQ families at the school because that's part of their religious mission. So they applied for this exemption to say, hey, we want to still maintain our religious integrity, but we also want to receive these public funds. And the state said no, and so the litigation started.
I think they call that having your cake and eating it too, maybe in some cases. But obviously, we're talking about the Supreme Court getting involved, which means lower courts have already weighed in. Talk about what they decided.
Right. So once the school filed suit, the lower court, federal district court judge heard the case and said, no, the state has the right to impose these non-discrimination rules. It then went to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, which said the same thing. So both lower courts ruled in favor of the state. So now it's up to the Supreme Court to decide, hey, are they going to reverse that or also rule in conjunction with those lower courts?
Maybe not to do with preschools, or maybe, but is there precedence with cases like this?
Yes, there is precedent, and there's really a lot of people point to a 1990 Supreme Court case where the court said, yes, the states can impose these anti-discrimination rules if it's neutral and generally applicable to everyone. And that's really why these lower courts also ruled in favor of the state, because it is neutral and it applies to all the preschools that want to actually apply for it. And of course, the Catholic Church, the Catholic school is saying, well, this is a violation of our free exercise under the First Amendment, our free exercise of our religion. So you're telling us how we can and can't operate religiously, but you're receiving taxpayer funds. So it's the counter to that is you have families that are paying taxes that are going to you that could be excluded from your program. So that's really the kind of juxtaposition there.
That makes sense. I mean, of course, this summer we're celebrating the 250th birthday of our country, and church versus state has been an issue from the very get-go here.
Yes.
Right? So let's talk about what's next for this case. I mean, where do things go from here?
So the Supreme Court just said that they will accept the case. So now arguments will be in the fall, and then there'll be a decision sometime after that. And then once there's a decision, it will probably be remanded to the lower courts. So this is not over. And you raise a great point about the issue of church and state, because this has been a major issue really as it relates to public funds going to these religious or private schools, that can exclude people, and that's really kind of the rub. And there's been cases that have went back and forth, but I really think the 1990 case is most applicable here. So we'll see. This Supreme Court, I never know what they may do.
Right, or how long things are going to take. Clearly, though, this is not going to be wrapped up or finalized by the start of next school year. This is going to take a little bit longer than that.
I would suspect so, yep.
Okay. Whitney, we appreciate you coming on this morning. Always love having you on the show.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here.